violent year in Boston so far. 22 people have been killed, which is almost double the number from last year. Now both city and religious leaders are trying to figure out how they can remedy the situation before it gets any worse. Today we're talking with Darnell Williams from the Urban League of Boston. Thanks very much for being here.
Thank you for having me, Jody.
We're finding out today that the community leaders in JP and the post office have worked out a deal about these mail carriers who didn't want to go to a certain housing development, Bromley Heath, because of shootings nearby. Do you sympathize with the postal workers who felt afraid to go there?
Well, I sympathize with the residents who are living there. I think obviously anytime that violence is operating within a city, it's incumbent upon the city leaders and religious leaders and community-based organizations to come together. But when there is a service that we are paying for as a society not being delivered, to me that's a real grave concern. And so whatever the fears are, then we have to assure that those fears are allayed, but the service should not be disrupted.
Because a lot of people living there are elderly and disabled and couldn't get to where they were going to have to go to pick up their mail.
I just came right through there this morning on the way, and if you look at their road improvements down there, there's a lot of housing development right there in the area. So really, I think the concerns are unfounded, even though that the shootings are happening all over the place. I mean, just in Charlestown, you had the two AK-47s robbing a Brinks truck or an armored truck. So the question is not so much it's happening here, it's happening all over. So that should not stop services being delivered.
22 murders already this year. It's only mid-May. Do you think it's some kind of statistical blip, because it's almost twice the number from last year, as I mentioned, or is it a sign of some real change in the fabric of society?
Well, not so much a change in the fabric of society. I would say that it's more that you're having folks who are arrested and imprisoned are being re-released. They're coming back into the neighborhoods where they are recapturing lost ground. And so the turf wars going between those two factions, I think, are starting to spike up. I believe that the success that Boston has been celebrated about really needs to reinvigorate itself in order to focus in on that strategy that worked, and then bring in the new players who can also identify who are some of the folks out there doing this, and clamp down on it.
There's good news too. Tell us about the Dudley Square Tech Center.
Well, the Dudley Square Technology Expo today is happening at the Urban League. The Urban League is proud to be the leader in bringing this new technology investment. Over $500,000 has been invested into our technology center. We have opportunity that the Mayor Menino will be there to cut the ribbon. This is the first wave of this level of investment at the Urban League, where we are providing, in fact, we're providing wireless in Dudley. We're providing access for small businesses or other community-based organizations to really tap into the Urban League's efforts.
So what does a Wi-Fi hotspot mean?
What that means is that if you and I are standing here and someone is in, say, 200 or 300 yards away from us, they can access the internet via a kiosk that's on a push cart or at an MBTA station. And so that allows that individual to access their email, they can look on the internet, et cetera, et cetera. So it's actually making the technology available to them, but not landlocked to a computer.
And anybody can use it?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, we've had over 10,000 people actually use the kiosk last year, and we think that those are the kinds of things that we've been leading edge technology. So it's been great stuff. It's bringing hope and access to closing the digital divide. Darnell Williams of the Urban League of Boston, thanks so much for being here. Thank you, Jody. Appreciate it. Gene?
All right, Jody, there's still 2 hours of Fox 25 Morning News coming your way. Bay State teens hooked on heroin.